On the morning of her 22nd birthday, Ilara awoke to a light that was neither the sun nor the moon. The room was dim, with silver streaks of light spilling through tall windows, casting long shadows across the floor. She blinked, disoriented, her heart beating fast. The soft rustle of silk sheets under her made her freeze. She was not in her small apartment. This was different. The air smelled of pine and smoke, faint but unmistakable. Her eyes traveled around the room. It was lavish yet dark. A carved wooden canopy bed rose above her, its curtains half drawn. Candles flickered along the walls, though none seemed to have been lit recently. On the far side of the room, a figure stirred, large, muscular, cloaked in shadow. And then she saw it. The wolf. A massive wolf, its fur black as night, stood near the corner. Its amber eyes glowed like molten gold. It did not growl. It did not move. But its gaze felt like it reached deep inside her chest, probing for something she did not yet understand. Then came the words, low and rumbling, not spoken aloud but echoing directly in her mind. "Mate, you are mine." Ilara's breath caught in her throat. Her hand went to her chest. What are you?" she whispered. The wolf's eyes softened for a moment, but the intensity remained. A shiver ran down her spine. She could feel a strange heat in her veins, a pull she could not explain. Every instinct told her to run, yet something rooted her to the spot. Before she could gather her thoughts, the door opened. A man stepped in, tall, broad-shouldered, every movement deliberate. His hair was dark, falling in soft waves around a chiseled face. His eyes were stormy gray, piercing yet unreadable. There was an aura about him, commanding, dangerous yet magnetic. "You're awake," he said, his voice calm but layered with authority. "Good." Ilara scrambled backward, nearly falling over the edge of the bed. Who are you? Why am I here?" He took a step closer, and she instinctively recoiled. "You are where you need to be, for now." His eyes flicked to the wolf, and the creature lowered its head in acknowledgement. "Do not be afraid." "Not yet." Fear and confusion twisted inside her. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. I don't understand. Why me? How did I get here?" The man's gaze softened, a shadow of something unspoken crossing his features. "You are special, Ilara. That is why you're here." "Special?" She echoed, incredulous. I'm just a normal person." "You are not normal," he said. There was no anger in his voice, only certainty. "And the wolf knows it." The wolf took a slow, deliberate step toward her, its golden eyes fixed on her. Every hair on her body stood on end, and yet in that look she sensed protection, not malice. It was as if it had been waiting for her all her life. Ilara swallowed, trying to find her voice. I don't understand any of this. What do you want from me?" The man's gray eyes softened almost imperceptibly, but there was steel beneath it. "Not what I want. What you are meant for." Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. "Me? Meant for what?" He knelt slightly, bringing his face closer to hers, not threatening but commanding her full attention. "You are marked, Ilara, by birth, by blood, and now, by destiny." She shook her head, backing up further. "Destiny, I don't even believe in—" "Then believe in this," he interrupted, his voice low, almost a growl. "The wolf calls you mate. That bond cannot be broken. Not by you. Not by anyone else." Ilara's mind reeled. Mate? Bond? She felt like she was caught in a dream or a nightmare. But there was something undeniable in the pit of her stomach. The pull, the recognition, as if she had always known him. Always known the wolf. Always known this place. The man stood upright, moving toward her again. "I am Kale," he said simply, as if that one name held all the weight of the world. "Alpha of the Shadow Pack, and you, Ilara, are my mate." That is not a request. It is a truth. Her heart raced. She wanted to run, to scream, to wake up in her own bed with familiar walls around her. But something, perhaps curiosity, perhaps fate, kept her rooted in place. Kyle stepped closer, his gaze unwavering, yet there was no cruelty in it. He extended a hand. "Do you understand? Not yet. But soon you will. The bond, it chooses. It does not ask." Ilara felt a sudden ache in her chest, as if a thread had been pulled deep within her. I don't know if I can—" "You don't have to decide yet," Kale said. "But you cannot run. Not from this. Not from him." He gestured toward the wolf, which now sat at her feet, eyes unwavering. "He will find you no matter where you go." The wolf emitted a soft, almost human-like sigh. Its amber eyes softened, and it nudged her gently with its nose. Ilara gasped. It felt like it was trying to communicate comfort, not just possession. A strange warmth blossomed in her chest, confusing her. Cale turned away, walking to the tall windows. Moonlight caught his sharp profile, making him look almost otherworldly. There are forces at work here, Ilara. Powers older than you can imagine. The rival packs, the curses that linger in the forest. They will come for you. They will test us both, Ilara's mind spun. I don't even know how I got here. Why me? Why today? Cale's shoulders tensed, and for the briefest moment, a shadow of vulnerability crossed his face. Because it is the day you awaken. Your 22nd year, the year your blood recognizes its bond. The wolf has waited, and so have I, she shivered. There was awe, fear, and something she couldn't name swirling inside her. Her thoughts were a storm, but beneath them a quiet recognition whispered. She was not alone. She had never been alone. Not truly. The wolf padded closer again, circling her slowly, each step deliberate, its eyes locked with hers, unwavering. Then, as if sensing her fear, it lay down at her feet, resting its massive head on her toes. Its eyes never left hers. Kyle's voice broke through the tension, calm but full of authority. The wolf will protect you. It will guide you. And in time, you will understand that you were never meant to walk alone, not in this life, not with me. Ilara felt her breath catch again, not from fear this time, but from a strange mixture of curiosity, awe, and something deeper, something that felt like destiny brushing against her soul. She closed her eyes, trying to steady herself. The warmth of the wolf at her feet, the presence of Cale behind her, the silver light filtering through the windows. It all felt unreal yet undeniable, and in the quiet, a whisper seemed to echo in her mind. You are mine, and I am yours. Ilara opened her eyes. Cale's gaze held hers, steady, unyielding. The wolf's eyes glimmered like molten gold, and in that moment she knew, whatever this was, whatever fate had brought her into, nothing would ever be the same again. Outside, the first hints of morning touched the forest. But deep in the shadows of the room, something stirred, a presence that had waited unseen for centuries. The air thickened. A low growl rolled through the forest beyond the windows. Cale's jaw tightened, his hand brushing against the hilt of a dagger. Ilara's heart pounded in her chest. She did not understand everything yet, but one truth was clear. Her life, her world, had shifted in ways she could not yet comprehend. And the wolf? The wolf had claimed her. She was no longer alone. And whatever awaited her in the shadows, she would face it, because she had no choice, and yet perhaps she had never felt more alive. The growl outside deepened, a warning carried on the wind. Cale turned, eyes narrowing. They know you are here. They will come. And we will be ready. Ilara looked down at the wolf. It lifted its head. Amber eyes locked onto hers and gave a low, almost affectionate snarl. The word echoed in her mind again. Mate. Her pulse raced. Her breath caught. She realized in that moment that this birthday was only the beginning, and the shadowed forest beyond was already moving. The morning light barely reached the edges of the forest beyond Cale's stronghold, casting long shadows across the stone courtyard. Ilara sat on the edge of a carved wooden bench, still trembling from the night's revelations. The wolf, whose name she still did not know, sat beside her, its massive form calm yet alert, ears twitching at every distant sound. Cale approached quietly, footsteps soft but deliberate. He stopped a few paces away, his gray eyes fixed on her. You slept well? He asked, though the question carried no real curiosity, more like a test. Ilara shook her head. I don't sleep like that. Not after last night. Her voice was barely above a whisper. She glanced at the wolf. And him. I don't understand. Kyle's expression softened, a rare flicker of emotion passing across his features. You will, he said simply. But first you must understand who you are and why you are here. Ilara looked at him, searching for reassurance. I'm just me. I have no power, no destiny. I'm ordinary. Kyle's jaw tightened. No, you are anything but ordinary. Your blood carries the mark of the ancients. That mark is rare, and it has chosen you for reasons beyond your understanding. Ilara frowned. Ancients? Mark? What are you talking about? He crouched slightly, resting his hands on his knees to meet her gaze. Your family line is older than the kingdom itself. There was a prophecy. It spoke of a human who would awaken the bond of the Alpha, the one who could walk between the human world and the forest packs. That is you, Ilara. Her head spun. Prophecy? Bond? Human and wolf? This is impossible. I'm just me. Kyle rose and took a slow step toward her. I understand you want to refuse. That is normal. But the wolf, the one who calls you mate, he will not be denied. The bond recognizes you whether you accept it or not. It waits for your choice, but time is short. The wolf shifted beside her, lifting its head, amber eyes fixed on her. For the first time, she noticed its gaze carried not just strength, but curiosity and a strange warmth. It tilted its head as if urging her to see beyond fear. Ilara swallowed hard. And if I say yes? Or go along with this? What happens to me? Kyle's gray eyes softened but grew serious. You will gain power, guidance, and protection. You will understand the language of the forest and the packs. You will stand beside me as mate, as partner. But danger will not disappear. The rival packs, the curse that follows the Alpha and other forces, they will test both of us. She shivered. And if I say no? Kale's jaw hardened. You cannot truly refuse. Not forever. Nature, fate, and the bond itself will find a way. Denial only makes it harder. Ilara looked down at the wolf. Its massive head rested on her knees, and she felt a warmth that eased some of her fear. You want me? She whispered, unsure if she meant the wolf or Kyle. Kyle's voice softened, almost unrecognizable beneath the sternness. Yes, I want you. But not only because of the bond. I want to stand with you, to protect you, to guide you. And in time, to earn your trust. She drew in a shaky breath. Trust was something she had not given lightly. Fear had kept her small all her life, and yet, something in her chest throbbed when she looked at him. Something like recognition, like a memory buried deep within her bones. A sharp howl echoed from the forest, long and mournful. The wolf's ears pricked up instantly, and it rose to its feet, fur bristling. Ilara jumped back slightly. Kale's hand went to the hilt of his dagger, and his eyes narrowed. They are near, he muttered. The rival pack knows you are here. It is not a coincidence that you awakened tonight. The prophecy drew attention. Ilara's heart raced. They want me. Kyle's gaze softened slightly, but it did not waver. Yes, but not just you. They want the bond. If they harm you, they weaken me. If they claim you, it would disrupt the balance of the packs forever. The wolf padded to the doorway, nose twitching, ears pointed toward the dense trees beyond. It let out a low growl that vibrated through the floor. Ilara noticed the muscles under its fur tense, and she felt an inexplicable pull in her chest. A warning, a connection, a recognition. Kale knelt beside her. Do you feel it? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Ilara nodded. The heat, I feel like, I don't know, like I've always known him. That is the bond, Kale said softly. It exists beyond reason, beyond fear. It is ancient, powerful, and patient. It waits for you to accept it. She pressed her hands to her temples, trying to steady her racing thoughts. I don't know if I can. I'm scared. Kyle placed a firm, steady hand over hers. Good. Fear proves that you are alive, that you are human, that you have a choice. But know this. The bond cannot be broken, and neither can the wolf's loyalty. Ilara felt her chest tighten as she looked at the wolf, then back at Kale. Both of them were waiting for her. Both of them were connected to her in ways she could not yet understand. and both carried an unspoken challenge. Embrace your fate, or be swept away by it. She glanced toward the forest, where the shadows shifted unnaturally. A low growl came from the trees, not one wolf, but many. She realized with a shiver that she had stepped into a world far larger than herself, where every decision could change not just her life, but the balance of the Alpha's kingdom. Kale's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. We cannot stay here. You must learn and you must prepare. The packs are moving and the enemy will strike at dawn. Ilara's pulse quickened. Prepare? For what? Kyle's gaze hardened. For survival, for destiny, and for the bond you cannot deny. The wolf padded closer, brushing its massive head against her hand. She felt a strange warmth spreading through her chest. The fear did not vanish, but a spark of courage flickered within her. She did not understand it yet, but she felt stronger. Kale extended his hand. Come, I will show you the ways of the pack. You will learn to defend yourself, to understand your bond, and to face what is coming. Ilara hesitated, then placed her hand in his. It was firm, steady, commanding, yet strangely comforting. She glanced at the wolf, whose amber eyes seemed to gleam with approval, and for the first time she allowed herself a small, cautious hope. As they stepped out into the stone courtyard, the forest beyond seemed alive with movement. Shadows shifted, and distant howls echoed through the morning mist. She felt the wolf's presence at her side, the strength of Kale behind her, and a strange, unyielding connection to something she could not name, but already felt deep within her soul. Kale's voice cut through the tension, calm and commanding. Ilara, soon you will understand why this bond exists, and why it cannot be broken. But for now, trust me. Trust him. Trust yourself. Ilara swallowed, feeling her fear and uncertainty clash with a growing sense of purpose. She did not yet know the full power of the bond, the prophecy or the danger that awaited her, but for the first time in her life she felt that she was standing on the edge of something monumental, something that would change everything. The wolf let out a soft, almost human-like growl, as if echoing her thoughts. Amber eyes gleamed. The wind carried a faint whisper of promise and danger alike. Ilara's hand tightened around Kale's. She did not speak, but her mind raced with a single, undeniable thought. I am not alone. And whatever comes, I will face it. From the edge of the forest, a shadow shifted, tall, silent, and watchful. Eyes glinted and a faint growl echoed in the distance. The rival pack had noticed, and they were moving faster than she could imagine. Ilara's pulse quickened. Her 22nd birthday had brought her into a world of shadows, wolves, prophecy, and destiny. And she knew, deep down, that nothing would ever be the same again. The wolf's amber eyes met hers one last time as she followed Kyle into the courtyard. And in that gaze, she saw something terrifying and beautiful, the promise of a bond that would shape her life and the fate of the packs forever. The forest was alive with whispers. Every tree, every shadow seemed to hum with secrets as Ilara followed Kale along a winding path. The wolf padded beside her, silent and graceful, its amber eyes never leaving her. Even in its calmness, it radiated a power that made her heart race. You will learn to hear the forest, Kale said, his voice low and steady, to sense danger before it comes, to move silently, to defend yourself. The bond will guide you, but you must learn to act with it. Ilara nodded, trying to steady her nerves. The truth of the previous night still weighed on her. The wolf calling her mate, Kale's piercing gaze, the prophecy she could barely comprehend. Every step into this forest felt like stepping further into a destiny she did not fully understand. How do I even begin? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kale glanced at her, gray eyes softening. You begin by trusting yourself. And by trusting him, he said, nodding toward the wolf. Ilara exhaled slowly and looked down. The wolf's massive head tilted slightly as if approving of her courage. Something in its gaze told her that the bond was more than instinct. It was understanding, recognition, and connection. She felt a pull in her chest, a heat that made her nervous yet oddly safe. They reached a clearing where the sunlight barely touched the ground. Cale gestured for her to stop. "Here," he said, "you will start." "Start what?" she asked, looking around. "Training," Kyle said. He stepped back and spread his arms slightly, demonstrating. "First, awareness. Feel the forest, listen. Every leaf, every branch, every rustle can tell you something." Ilara closed her eyes and tried to focus. The wind brushed her skin. The leaves whispered above, and a distant bird called. Slowly, she began to feel a rhythm in the forest. A pulse, as if the trees themselves were alive and breathing around her. The wolf let out a soft growl, and she opened her eyes just in time to see a shadow move through the underbrush. A figure, tall, fast, and silent, emerged, its eyes glinting with hostility. "Enemy," Cale said, his voice calm but sharp. "Show me what you have learned." Her pulse surged. She wanted to run, but she could feel the bond, the pull of the wolf guiding her hands, her instincts. Without thinking, she crouched, moving low to the ground, silent. The figure advanced, and instinctively she grabbed a fallen branch. Her body moved as if it knew what to do, guided by something she could not see but could feel. Cale's eyes widened slightly, a hint of approval flashing across his stern features. The wolf let out a low growl, its stance protective, but it did not interfere. Ilara realized she was not alone. She was connected to both Cale and the wolf. The bond was teaching her without words. The shadow figure lunged, and she sidestepped, swinging the branch with all her strength. The figure stumbled, retreating, then disappeared into the forest. Her heart pounded, adrenaline rushing through her veins. "You are faster than I expected," Cale said, stepping closer. "And you listened to him," he added, nodding toward the wolf. Ilara felt heat rise to her cheeks. I don't know how. I just felt it." Cale's gray eyes softened, and he took her hand gently. "That is the bond. It will guide you, but you must trust it, and you must trust yourself." The wolf nuzzled her hand, and she felt a warmth spreading through her chest. Fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else, something new, something exhilarating. The bond was not just about protection. It was about connection, recognition, and power she had never known she possessed. They continued their training, moving through the forest as Cale taught her to sense movement, to blend with the shadows and to strike with precision. Every lesson was a challenge, but every success built her confidence. And all the while, the wolf stayed close, guiding her, protecting her, and silently watching her every move. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor, Cale led her to a small clearing where a shallow pool reflected the fiery colors of the sky. He gestured for her to sit. "Rest," he said. "You have done well today." Ilara sank to the ground, exhausted but exhilarated. The wolf lay beside her, resting its massive head on her lap. She could feel the steady rhythm of its heartbeat, the warmth of its body, and a strange calm settled over her. Cale sat across from her, watching her closely. "You are stronger than you realize," he said softly. "And you are learning to accept the bond even if you do not yet understand it fully." Ilara looked up at him, her heart fluttering. I want to understand. I want to be ready, but I'm scared." Cale's gaze softened, and for a moment he looked almost vulnerable. "Good. Fear reminds us that we are alive, that we are human. But you are not alone. Not now, not ever." A sudden rustle from the forest made her start. The wolf leapt to its feet instantly, growling low in its throat. Cale rose as well, eyes scanning the shadows. From the edge of the clearing, a figure emerged. A lone wolf, larger and darker than the others she had seen, eyes glowing red in the dim light. Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. This was no ordinary wolf. Enemy Alpha, Cale said, his voice low and dangerous. "He knows you are here. He knows the bond has awakened." Ilara's chest tightened. She had never seen Cale like this before, so tense, so ready, so commanding. And yet, when he looked at her, there was a flicker of something else, protection, care, and something deeper she could not name. The enemy Alpha stepped closer, snarling, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. The wolf at her side growled, muscles coiled, ready to strike. Ilara could feel the tension in the air, the weight of the moment pressing down on her chest. Cale stepped forward, placing himself between her and the enemy. "Do not move," he commanded, voice firm, unwavering. "Trust the bond. Trust him." Ilara's gaze met the wolf's, and she felt a rush of courage. The bond pulsed through her, steady and strong, and she realized that she was not helpless. She could feel the enemy's intentions, sense the danger, and act if necessary. The enemy alpha let out a roar that echoed through the forest. The wolf beside her responded, growling low, muscles rippling under its fur, and then, as if understanding something only they shared, the wolf shifted, its form rising, growing larger, more powerful, a creature of shadow and fire. Elara gasped. Kale's eyes widened slightly, not in surprise, but in recognition. The bond. It is stronger than I thought, he murmured. The enemy alpha hesitated, sensing the power radiating from her and the wolf. Elara felt a strange warmth surge through her chest, a sense of connection and strength she had never known. She realized that the bond was not just about Kale or the wolf, it was about her too. She was part of it, and her courage mattered. With a final snarl, the enemy alpha retreated into the shadows, disappearing from view. The forest seemed to exhale, tension easing slightly. Elara sank to her knees, heart pounding, and the wolf returned to her side, resting its head on her lap once more. Kyle approached, his gray eyes softer now, but still intense. You did well, he said. You listened. You trusted, and you survived. That is more than most can do on their first day. Elara looked up at him, breathless. I didn't do it alone. He helped me. She gestured to the wolf. Kyle nodded, a faint smile touching his lips. Yes, he will always guide you. But remember, the bond is not just about protection. It is about trust, connection, and understanding. And it is only just beginning. The wolf let out a soft, almost human-like sigh, and Elara felt warmth in her chest. She realized for the first time that she was not afraid, not completely. She was beginning to understand the bond, the prophecy, and the power that was awakening within her. As night fell, the forest around them dark and alive with unseen creatures, Kale placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Rest now. Tomorrow we continue. You will face more challenges and the bond will grow stronger, but you are ready, more than you know. Elara closed her eyes, feeling the steady warmth of the wolf beside her, the protective presence of Kale, and a strange, thrilling sense of purpose. She was part of something larger now, something ancient, powerful, and dangerous, and deep within her she knew that her life had changed forever. Outside, the shadows shifted again. A distant howl carried on the wind, a reminder that danger was never far. But Elara felt a spark of courage. Whatever came next, she would face it with him, with the wolf, and with the bond that was hers to embrace. And as the moon rose high above the forest, amber eyes met hers, steady and unwavering, whispering a single word she could feel in her soul. Mate. Dawn broke through the dense forest with a muted glow, casting pale light across the frost-dusted ground. Elara shivered, pulling her cloak tighter around her shoulders. Though the chill was not entirely from the cold, she could still feel the power of the bond pulsing in her chest, a steady, insistent rhythm that matched the wolf's heartbeat. Kale stood nearby, tall and commanding, his eyes scanning the forest edge. The wolf circled Elara once before resting at her feet, amber eyes never leaving her face. Today will test you, Kale said, voice low and steady. You have trained, but now you will learn what it means to face danger with the bond fully awakened. Elara swallowed, her stomach tightening. I'm ready, she said, though her voice wavered. She wanted to believe it. She had grown stronger in the past days, but every lesson, every challenge had pushed her limits in ways she could not have imagined. Kale's gray eyes softened for the briefest moment. Do not think of it as a trial. Think of it as understanding your place in this world. The bond will guide you, but courage must come from within. The wolf shifted closer, brushing against her legs. Elara felt warmth and reassurance flow through her. She reached out to touch its fur. I trust you, she whispered. The wolf's ears twitched and it let out a soft, approving growl. Kale observed quietly, as if measuring the moment. They moved deeper into the forest, the shadows stretching long and thick between the towering trees. The wind carried scents of moss, pine, and distant creatures. Elara focused, allowing the bond to guide her senses. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig seemed amplified. She realized she could feel the forest's rhythm, the subtle movements of unseen life. Good, Kyle said. You are learning. Now prepare yourself. The challenge approaches. A sharp sound cut through the quiet, a low, menacing growl from behind a thicket. Elara's heart leapt. The wolf growled in response, muscles tensed. Kale's hand rested lightly on the hilt of his dagger, his eyes narrowing. From the shadows, a figure emerged, tall, agile, and cloaked in black. Its eyes glimmered with malice. The rival pack had sent a scout. "Stay behind me," Cale said, his voice calm but carrying authority. Elara hesitated, but the wolf nudged her leg gently, and she felt the pull of the bond urging her forward. Courage rose within her, mingled with fear. She could not ignore the strength growing inside her, the guidance of the wolf and Cale. The figure lunged with speed, and instinct took over. Elara moved with precision, guided by the bond. She dodged, blocked, and countered without conscious thought. Every motion flowed, guided by the wolf's presence and Kyle's subtle cues. Kyle struck with measured force, incapacitating the enemy scout without unnecessary harm. Elara's chest heaved with adrenaline, her heart racing. She realized how far she had come in just a few days. The bond had awakened abilities she had never imagined. The wolf circled the fallen enemy, letting out a low, warning growl before stepping back. Its amber eyes met hers, and for a moment she felt an unspoken approval. She was no longer the frightened girl who had stumbled into Cale's bed. She was becoming a part of something greater, something powerful. Cale approached her, his expression a mixture of pride and intensity. "You did well," he said. "You listened, you acted, and you survived. That is what the bond requires: trust, action, and understanding." Elara wiped her forehead with the back of her hand. I couldn't have done it without him," she said, glancing at the wolf. Cale's gray eyes softened. "Yes, but the bond is not just about strength or survival. It is about connection, trust, and choice. You are learning what it means to be part of this world, part of the pack, and part of me." Elara's pulse quickened. His words carried a weight she could not ignore. There was a tension in the air, something unspoken that pulled her toward him, as undeniable as the bond itself. She looked down at the wolf, whose steady gaze seemed to echo the same unspoken truth. The forest suddenly grew quiet. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. From the shadows, another figure emerged, larger this time, moving with deliberate, threatening grace. It was no ordinary wolf or human, but a creature of both forms, eyes glowing red with power. Cale's stance stiffened. It is here, the true test. Elara felt a shiver run down her spine, but she did not step back. The bond pulsed strongly, guiding her, steadying her nerves. She felt a surge of courage. She could face this. She could fight. She could survive. The creature advanced, growls vibrating through the air. The wolf at her side shifted, body glowing faintly in the dim light, muscles coiled for action. Cale moved beside her, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "Trust the bond," he said softly. Elara nodded, taking a deep breath. She could feel the power of the forest, the wolf, and Cale all flowing through her. She stepped forward, standing tall, and faced the creature. It lunged. Elara dodged instinctively, the wolf moving in perfect harmony with her. Cale struck from the side, distracting the creature, allowing her to act. Together they moved as one, bonded, synchronized, unstoppable. The creature roared and retreated, sensing the strength of the bond between them. The forest seemed to relax, the tension easing slightly. Elara's chest heaved, adrenaline still coursing through her. Cale placed a hand gently on her arm. "You have done more than survive," he said. "You have embraced the bond. You have proven yourself ready for the challenges to come." Elara felt warmth rise in her chest. I feel different," she admitted. "Stronger, but scared too." Cale's gaze softened, and he knelt slightly to meet her eyes. "Good. Fear reminds us we are alive. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting despite it. You are learning, and you are growing. That is the bond." The wolf lay down beside her, resting its head on her knees. She felt a calm strength flow through her, the bond steady and unwavering. For the first time, she felt like she belonged, like she was part of something ancient, powerful and alive. Cale's eyes lingered on her face, gray and stormy, and she felt a pull in her chest, a warmth that made her pulse quicken. The bond was more than protection. It was connection, recognition, and something she could not name. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the forest floor, Cale spoke again. "Tomorrow we will continue. You will learn more, face more, and the bond will grow stronger. But tonight rest. You have earned it." Elara sank to the ground, exhausted but exhilarated. The wolf rested its massive head in her lap, and she stroked its fur, feeling the steady heartbeat beneath her fingers. Cale sat nearby, silent but watchful, his presence steady and reassuring. A soft wind rustled through the trees, carrying distant howls. Ilara closed her eyes, letting the forest, the wolf, and Kale's presence wash over her. She felt a strange, unshakable certainty. She was part of something greater now, something ancient, powerful, and unbreakable. And as night fell, the shadows of the forest shifting and alive with unseen eyes, Ilara realized the truth of the bond of destiny, and of the connection she could not deny. The wolf's amber eyes met hers, steady and unwavering, whispering silently in her soul. "Mate!" Her heart skipped. She could not turn back. She could not deny it. And deep down she knew that whatever awaited them in the coming days, she would face it side by side with Kale, guided by the wolf, and bound by a connection older than time itself. The forest darkened, full of secrets and dangers, but for the first time Ilara felt ready. Fear still lingered, but it no longer ruled her. Courage, trust, and the bond had begun to forge something stronger within her. And somewhere in the shadows, unseen eyes watched, waiting, and the story of her destiny was only beginning to unfold. The moon hung high over the forest, pale and silver, casting long shadows across the frost-kissed ground. Ilara stood at the edge of a rocky clearing, the wolf at her side, muscles tensed, amber eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Kale stood beside her, tall and unwavering, his gray eyes scanning the darkness beyond. Tonight was different. The air carried an unnatural tension, thick and electric, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. She could feel the pull of the bond stronger than ever, a rhythm in her chest that matched the wolf's heartbeat. Every fiber of her being told her that the final challenge, the moment that would test everything, was upon them. "Are you ready?" Kale asked softly, placing a hand on her shoulder. Ilara swallowed, the weight of the coming confrontation pressing down on her chest. I think so," she admitted. "I trust him. I trust you. I trust the bond." Kale's eyes softened. "Good. That trust is what will guide you. But remember, the enemy will test every part of you, your courage, your heart, and your bond. Do not let fear control you." The wolf growled low in its throat, its gaze fixed on the tree line. Shadows moved within the trees, silent and deliberate, and Ilara felt the pull of the bond warning her of approaching danger. She clenched her fists, muscles coiling, her heart racing, but there was no panic. There was determination. From the darkness a figure emerged, larger, more formidable than any they had faced before. Its eyes glowed red, its body radiating power and malice. The enemy Alpha had returned, and this time it was not alone. Shadowed forms followed, a pack of creatures twisted by malice and darkness. Kale stepped in front of her. "Stay close," he said, voice firm. "Move with the bond. Trust it." Ilara nodded. She could feel the wolf's energy, its pulse guiding her movements. She was no longer the frightened girl from days ago. She was part of something ancient, strong, and unstoppable. The enemy Alpha lunged, and instinct took over. Ilara moved with precision, sidestepping, striking, and weaving in perfect harmony with the wolf. Kale attacked from the side, his strikes calculated, deadly but controlled. Together they were a seamless force, bonded by trust, instinct, and unspoken connection. The enemy pack swirled around them, circling, testing, looking for weakness. Ilara could feel the rhythm of the battle, the pulse of the bond guiding her, whispering directions in a language she did not consciously understand but intuitively obeyed. She swung a fallen branch at a creature lunging from the shadows, then dove to avoid another attack. The wolf leapt beside her, fangs bared, driving enemies away with strength and precision that seemed almost supernatural. Kale's voice cut through the chaos. "Ilara, focus! Remember the bond!" Her chest heaved, adrenaline coursing through her veins, but she obeyed. She felt the wolf's heartbeat in her own chest, felt the flow of power between them, and in that moment she realized something profound. The bond was not just about survival. It was about connection, trust, and unity. Alone, any of them could be defeated, but together they were unstoppable. The enemy Alpha roared, a sound that shook the clearing. It lunged at Kale with unnatural speed. Ilara reacted instantly, moving to intercept, her instincts guided by the wolf. She struck at the Alpha's flank, forcing it to divert its attack. Kale regained his footing, eyes blazing, and together they pushed the Alpha back. For a moment, time seemed suspended. Ilara's pulse matched the rhythm of the bond, her mind clear and sharp. She could sense the Alpha's weakness, the patterns in its movement. With a swift motion guided by the bond, she and the wolf struck together. Kale followed seamlessly, their combined force overwhelming the creature. The alpha let out a final ear-splitting roar before collapsing, the darkness around it dissipating like mist. The shadowed forms that followed scattered, retreating into the forest, defeated. The clearing fell silent except for their ragged breaths and the soft sound of the wolf's growl. Alara sank to her knees, exhaustion threatening to overwhelm her. The wolf rested its massive head on her lap, and she felt warmth and reassurance flow through her. Cale approached, kneeling beside her. His gray eyes were stormy but softened as they met hers. You did it," he said, voice low, awe and pride mingling. "We did it. Together." Ilara's hands trembled slightly as she reached out to touch his arm. I felt it, the bond. It guided me, it saved us." Cale's gaze lingered on her face, gray eyes locking with hers. "Yes, and it always will. The bond is stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. It is connection, trust, and love, Ilara. It is all of these things, and it is ours." Ilara's chest tightened. She had felt it growing over the days, the pull, the warmth, the strange, unshakable certainty. She looked at the wolf, whose amber eyes reflected pride and loyalty, and then she looked at Cale, whose presence was steady, commanding and yet gentle in a way that made her pulse quicken. You call me mate," she whispered, voice trembling. Cale nodded, his expression softening into something rare, vulnerability. "Yes, you are my mate, and the bond recognizes it as I do. I did not ask for this lightly, but neither did the bond. You are chosen, and you chose to stand with me." The wolf let out a soft, almost approving sigh, nudging her gently. Ilara felt a warmth spread through her chest, stronger than anything she had ever felt. The bond was complete, whole and undeniable. Ilara took a deep breath, feeling a strange mix of relief, exhilaration, and anticipation. I accept it," she said, voice steady now, filled with resolve. "I accept the bond. You, him, everything." Cale's expression softened, and for the first time a small, rare smile curved his lips. "Then we are bound in every way that matters," he said. The wolf stood, pacing around her protectively before settling again at her side. Its amber eyes glowed softly, a silent acknowledgement of her choice. Ilara felt a deep, unshakable peace tempered with exhilaration. The bond was more than survival. It was unity, power, and connection. It was destiny. Cale extended his hand to her. She took it, and the warmth that surged through her was not just from touch, it was from the bond, the connection, and the shared understanding between them. They had faced danger, fear, and uncertainty, and they had emerged stronger. "Come," Cale said, voice low, intimate. "There is much to teach you still, and the world beyond this forest is waiting. But tonight, rest. You have earned it." Ilara followed him to a sheltered clearing where a fire burned softly. She sat, the wolf resting beside her, Cale nearby, watching her with a mixture of intensity and care. She realized she had changed. No longer was she the frightened girl who woke in the alpha's bed. She was bonded, powerful, and part of something ancient and eternal. The moonlight bathed the clearing, and for a moment, all was still. Ilara felt the bond pulsing gently, strong and steady. It was more than connection. It was life, destiny, and belonging. Cale knelt beside her, his gray eyes locking with hers. "You are remarkable, Ilara, brave, strong, and extraordinary. The bond has awakened because you were ready, and because you chose it." Ilara's chest tightened. She reached for his hand, and he took it, their fingers intertwining. The wolf lay at her feet, amber eyes reflecting the firelight. The forest seemed to hum around them, alive with unseen life, magic, and ancient power. "I trust the bond," she whispered, voice steady and filled with certainty. "I trust you. I trust him. I trust us." Cale's hand tightened over hers. "And I trust you," he said. "Always." The wolf shifted, letting out a soft, approving growl, and Ilara felt a surge of warmth and belonging. She was part of this world, part of the bond, and part of Cale's life. Fear had not disappeared entirely, but it had been replaced with courage, connection, and love, quiet, steady, and unshakable. The fire crackled, shadows dancing across the clearing, and the forest whispered its secrets around them. Ilara leaned back, feeling the wolf at her side and Cale beside her. She knew that the future held challenges, trials, and dangers, but she was ready. She was bonded, chosen, and strong, and somewhere deep in her soul the word echoed. Unshakable and eternal, mate. Ilara smiled softly, feeling the warmth of the bond, the strength of Cale's presence, and the protective gaze of the wolf. The prophecy had been fulfilled, not because it demanded her, but because she had chosen it, embraced it, and allowed herself to become part of something greater than fear, greater than doubt, and greater than herself. And as the moon rose high above the forest, pale and silver, Elara understood the truth of the bond, the prophecy, and her own heart. She was not alone. She was never alone. She was part of the Alpha, part of the wolf, and part of a destiny older than time itself. The night stretched on, quiet except for the soft sounds of the forest, the crackle of the fire and the steady beat of the bond, and for the first time in her life Elara felt truly, completely at home.